Zandvoort in the Netherlands plays host to the third round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series. The undulating circuit just on the coast outside of Amsterdam is a real old-school racers circuit, much like the previous track we were at, Brands Hatch, where we had a fantastic weekend of racing. It was the Grasser Racing Lamborghini of Harry Prochik on pole position, and he held the lead going into the first corner despite the attentions of Max Buch in the HTP Mercedes behind. Matthias Stumpf managed to go around the outside of his BMW Team Brazil teammate and up into third position. A great start from him as the BMWs were looking strong. Max Buch was going to put the race-leading Lamborghini under all sorts of pressure, but there was chaos up at Druids. A collision between Stef Dusseldorp and Stefan Racina forced the Mercedes out of the race. This was Zanardi's view of the incident. He dived through on the inside to take two positions. Martin Ibrahim was sent spinning, possibly through contact with David Fuminelli, who would then lose out to his teammate Zanardi. Zanardi was fighting back, having had to start right at the back of the grid, and he was making up positions left, right and centre. Racina and Nicky Melnoff then ended up in the gravel trap, both of them ending their races. But the pressure up front was building on Harry Prochik. The pit stop windows came, Max Buch got out and handed over to Max Coates in the chasing Mercedes, but Jeroen Bleekemolen was still in the lead of the race. Valdeno Brito was briefly second in the BMW Team Brazil car, but he later had to serve a drive-through penalty. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez then ultimately emerged into what would be third position, right behind the Mercedes of Max Coates. There was a disaster for the Bitec Racing team. The McLarens performing much stronger in Brands Hatch, but Fabio Anidi and Giorgio Pantano's race was ended by losing a left rear wheel. But the race win was taken by Harry Prochik and Jeroen Bleekemolen. A wonderful performance for the small Grasser Racing team from Austria. They were over the moon with their victory, and it moved them up into second place in the championship. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez took BMW Team Brazil's first podium of the season. Buch and Goetz still lead the championship, but it was all about the Grasser Racing team at Brands. In Nogaro at the opening round, Stefan Rotelli was joined in the number 3 car by Gregory Gilbert. They had a strong weekend, but that meant that Brands Hatch was Roman Rusinov's first appearance of the season in the Blancpain Sprint Series. The weekend, though, didn't go quite according to plan. Problems in the first race set them back, and Rusinov is confident they can get back towards the front of the order here in Zandvoort.
Yeah, I think, Brands Hatch we had a crash in the beginning of the first race, so then for the start of the second race, so it's quite difficult. So here we have a P4 on the free practice. I hope the Audi will be good on this track. The car is fast, and I hope we can do a good result.
It was a stunning weekend in Brands Hatch for Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Prochik. A win in the qualifying race and a win in the main race as well. And if that wasn't ominous enough for their opposition, they're coming into Jeroen Bleekemolen's home race, somewhere he has an awful lot of experience and should be very strong.
The competition is always fantastic, but also very hard. But of course, coming off a weekend like that, going into this track, my home track, it's a good sign for sure. I have a lot of experience here. I've raced here so many times, and I've been successful many times here as well. So yeah, hopefully it'll help a bit. It's a tough track, very challenging, and it should be a really good track for us.
After a torrid opening round of the season, Bitec were back on form in Brands Hatch. Fabio Anidi and Giorgio Pantano had a stunning first race and then were robbed of a good points finish in race 2 after losing their left rear wheel. Meanwhile, Sten Pentus and Daniel Lloyd continued their learning process in the sister car.
I raced here before 2004, so it's 10 years ago in Formula BMW. I didn't remember that how bumpy it really is. If you make a mistake, you're just destroying the car. There's no many safety areas, so I enjoy. I really like the circuit. I'm not aiming the position. As long as it's step forward, I'm happy.
Max Buch and Max Goetz still lead the championship for HTP, but it was the sister car that was victorious here last year. Sergei Afanasiev and Andreas Simonsen were teammates then. This year, Afanasiev's teammate is local hero Stef Dusseldorp. He hasn't raced at the circuit for a while, but he hopes that won't hinder his chances.
It's my home race, but the last time I've driven here was in the Zandvoort Masters in 2010. I think last year the team did really well. They won even the main race. Race pace should be very good. I've got a lot of support from all the Dutch people. I've got some sponsors, family, friends coming on Sunday, so I hope to give them a nice podium at the end.
With Andrea Montemini away on other racing duties this weekend, Felipe Salaquada will be joined by Italian Alessandro Balzan in the Scuderia Villorba Corsa car. The two only met this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see how their relationship develops as Balzan makes his Blancpain Sprint Series debut.
I'm really proud to be here. It's a great weekend. Let's take a walk in the middle of the paddock with all the guys and the other competitors, staff and drivers. The track is not perfect for our cars, but we have quite a lot of room where we can improve. So I'm thinking I will be happy with my top 5 finish. I'm happy to be here and proud that Scuderia Villorba give me this chance.
German outfit Tonino Team Herbert make their Blancpain Sprint Series debut with a Porsche 997. They've got a German driver, Robert Renauer, but also a Dutchman. Jaap van Lagen is an experienced racer in both Porsche Super Cup and the German Porsche Carrera Cup, and has already won a GT race here this season, so he's confident about the weekend to come.
I'm really looking forward because it's my home track. Many people will come for the Dutch drivers, of course. My first time in this Blancpain series, so yeah, it's really good to be here, and hopefully we can put a good result on this track.
Another new entrant for the rest of the season is the BMW Sports Trophy Team Schubert squad with a BMW Z4. Youngster Thomas Jaeger will be experiencing his first ever GT race this weekend, so it'll be a steep learning curve for the Austrian. And alongside him is young but experienced racer Dominic Baumann. He's making his return to the series, having raced with Grasser last year.
From my experience last year, I know it is a great championship, and we tried to do the silver cup, but now I'm gold categorization. It's a little bit bad, but that's how it is, and now we decided to come back with a new team, and yeah, it's nice to be back, and we will see how it works in the races.
Despite being away from home during the World Cup, the Brazilians have still brought some football flair to Zandvoort. It's a damp-ish track that greets the drivers ahead of the qualifying race here in Zandvoort, and the Blancpain Sprint Series is about to get underway. The track, as I say, drying. It's you can see there from that camera angle, certain parts of the circuit are still pretty wet, certain parts are pretty dry. The temperature is just 19.6 degrees, a patch on what we had yesterday where we had absolutely scorching conditions. So it's the Dutchman Jeroen Bleekemolen on pole position in his Lamborghini, alongside him the Belgian Laurens Vanthoor. Then we have another Dutchman, Peter Cox, will start third in his Lamborghini, René Rast alongside him. So 2 Lamborghinis and 2 Audis on the front 2 rows. Then we have the first Mercedes, Maximilian Buch alongside him. The best qualifying performance so far this season for Scuderia Villorba Corsa. It'll be Alessandro Balzan starting that car. Winkelhock and Jimenez will line up in 7th and 8th position, followed by Basseng and Piquet Jr. Piquet Jr. making his return to the series, having missed Brands Hatch. In 11th place, Jaap van Lagen driving the Porsche, the new entry for this weekend, and then Thomas Jaeger alongside him. Vincent Abril was disappointed to only qualify down in 13th place. He's just in front of Stefano Colombo. Stefan Landman there in 15th. Steph Dusseldorp down in 16th position in the car that won here last year. Daniel Lloyd out-qualified Giorgio Pantano, but the McLaren's off the pace. Through the final corner come the cars, waiting for the lights to go out here. It's the third round of the season in the Blancpain Sprint Series. When all the cars are on the straight, the red lights will go out and we'll be racing. There we go! Jeroen Bleekemolen on pole position, floors the throttle, and it's a good start as well from René Rast behind, trying to find a way through in the Audi. In fact, he's managed to find a way to the inside. There's contact! Off goes one of the BMW Team Brazil cars. That's Sergio Jimenez. He keeps it all together just about, but it's Jeroen Bleekemolen who holds the lead of the race. Still side by side between the Audis. René Rast looks to the inside, but Vanthoor holds it around the outside. So Vanthoor in second place, Rast in third, Peter Cox fourth, fifth for Max Buch, and sixth for the Ferrari as they all squeeze around the Hugenholtz hairpin and head out towards the dunes.
No prisoners taken whatsoever between Vanthoor and René Rast, and then Basseng looking to come up the inside. But again, this is the problem around Zandvoort. All these corners, long, fast, flowing corners, prevent anybody getting a really clean opportunity to get alongside and take the corner away. Have to wait until they come out of what would be turn 11 to have that run down into the first of the major chicanes at turn 11 and 12.
Thomas Jaeger's made a good start in his first ever GT race. He's gone from 12th up into 9th position, so that's good work from him. As the cars now weave through the left-hander of turn 10. There's Jaap van Lagen in the 21 Team Herbert Porsche. Oh, and run wide there is Peter Cox, and that's going to lose him places. He already loses to the Mercedes, and now here comes the Ferrari trying to go around the outside on the way down into the chicane, and he goes through. So an uncharacteristic moment there for Peter Cox.
We just caught the end of that moment. I don't know whether Peter Cox either was compromised or got tagged coming through turn 10, but clearly he lost ground, and that offered up opportunities for the Ferrari to drive down the inside. Alessandro Belsa in his first run in this car doing a very impressive job.
So there is Peter Cox as they come out onto the start-finish straight to complete the first lap of racing. Bleekemolen leads the way, 0.6 of a second clear over ahead of Lawrence Van Thorp. In third place it's René Rast. Here's a look towards the inside from Thomas Jaeger. There's going to be a touch there, surely. No, just about. Stump sees him coming, holds the outside line, but Jaeger might still be able to make the move stick because he'll have the inside line for the third corner, and that is good work from the young Austrian. He makes his way past the 30 car, which actually has Nelson Piquet Jr. at the wheel, my apologies, but Jaeger takes the place.
Yes, I mean, positive driving. Both drivers gave one another sufficient working room, but Thomas Jaeger was the driver who was more forceful, and he got track position finally after 3 corners at the end of the straight, and is now pulling, well, marginally ahead of the Brazilian BMW. There is the damaged other car. We saw that contact at the start, coming down into turn 1, contact with the Ferrari, and the right front of the BMW tyre is down. Maybe some bodywork damage as well.
Yep, that is a real shame for the car that picked up its first podium last time out at Brands Hatch.
As we see, finally, Stefano Telli gets up and alongside the Mercedes-Benz. Can he hold the position? He's just about, yes, he's got it. He just was on the right position of the racetrack to dive down the inside and control the corner. And finally, Ortelli has cleared the Mercedes of Miguel Toro. Yeah.
The contact between the BMW and the Ferrari at the start is under investigation. And, well, let's have a look at it. Here's the replay of the start. It's that yellow BMW there that's on the right-hand side of shot. It gets to the outside, and then is the Ferrari just going to come across?
I think the Ferrari was totally unsighted. The BMW was literally in the blind spot of the mirrors of the Ferrari. The BMW is coming back into the pits. Something is not right with it. We did notice that the bonnet on the right-hand side wasn't fully back in its position, but I think there's probably more damage to the right front of the BMW than we maybe realised.
As into the pits comes the Roll BMW of Stefano Colombo. So that's certainly an unscheduled pit stop, but that makes more sense with it. Dominic Baumann at the wheel. Oh, he's been in the gravel trap. Look at the left rear, and whoa, here he goes.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. That's got to be a left rear of some description.
On board with your own Bleekemolen, the race leader, as meanwhile Stefan Ortelli goes for a pass on Vincent Abril, and Abril won't fight him too hard, and Ortelli takes 15th position away. Next on his list is Giorgio Pantano. Teams are getting ready in the pits with wet tyres. At the moment, it looks like it's sort of just in case, but you can see a few drops of rain actually on the camera lens down there.
Yeah, and looking skyward as we did a minute or so ago, we saw that big black cloud drifting the direction of the circuit from the Harry Lyondike curve. Again, look at this, just Stef Dusseldorp all over the back of Mark Bassang. This battle, the Porsche really holding up the Audi and the Mercedes, and it's up to Dusseldorf. He's got the best opportunity now to get a run down into the very tight sort of right-left chicane down at the bottom of the circuit. The Hans Ernst Bocht. Porsche's got good traction primarily, good acceleration. And again, you see Bassang struggling now. Stef Dusseldorf got very close. The mirror of the wipers are now on, and Bassang's car, so you can just begin to see a sheen on the circuit. So the penultimate corner is actually quite slick, and the Audi got caught right, and Dusseldorf is going to go through.
Yep, into the final corner. Dusseldorf finds the inside line, but they're having to creep around there now as they come down the start-finish straight. Look at the rain on the camera lens as they come flashing under over the start-finish straight.
Where are they? I've lost them!
They're in there somewhere, John. Dusseldorf still has the inside line, but trying to get the car stopped in these treacherous conditions is going to be a real challenge. And Dusseldorf goes through then. He takes 11th place away from Mark Bassang. 40 minutes to go, still 10 minutes until the pit stop window opens, and that is Winkelhock who's got past Peter Cox. So Winkelhock is up into 6th place now, past Peter Cox, the Dutchman, and Winkelhock is very, very happy in these conditions. He's about to have the Ferrari as well, up to the inside on the exit of Skyflock, and Winkelhock is starting to fly.
There are just some drivers who've got an intuitiveness in driving in these pretty unpleasant conditions. Every corner you come to, you don't know what you're going to get.
So Peter Cox, we've seen, has got back past the Ferrari, and all this has allowed Dominic Baumann into the party as well. So Baumann in that Schubert BMW getting really good traction out of the Hugenholz corner, and he's going to breeze past him. They're side by side through the most tricky section of the circuit, and that is good stuff from Dominic Baumann. The Austrian goes through, and that is now 7th place for him, and in the gravel, it was Markus Winkelhock. So Markus Winkelhock, we were saying how confident and strong he was looking. Will that now surely deploy a safety car?
It may be a safety car. Certainly will be a waved yellow flag up the Skyflock corner, which is an unsighted corner, and you can see what happened. He just came in a little bit too quick, and he is stuck.
The safety car has been deployed here at Zandvoort. So Bleekemolen is going really slowly, essentially so that he can get into the pits when the pit stop window opens.
Well,
and this
21 seconds from the Arie Luyendyk curve to the pit lane. He's got to almost come to a standstill. In fact, he might be advised to stop for 5 or 10 seconds, and the team will be counting him down. So he would.
Is this okay, John? Is this okay to crawl around the track like this?
There's nothing in the regulations. This window is open. He can come into the pit lane and make his pit stop. So the team have done a very good job in telling him what to do. The gap you can see now between first and second is just the gap between 3-4 car lengths, and it'll be a battle in the pit lane between the crews with the driver change, the wheel and tyre change, and there will be clearly a change from slick tyres onto the full wet tyre. There's the Lamborghini being jacked up, and in gets Harry Project. Jerome Bleekemolen has done a truly blinding job in very blinding conditions, to be honest. The last 2 or 3 laps conditions were as atrocious as you could ever wish to get.
So into the pits they all come, and now it is, as you say, John, just a simple pit stop race. That's all it comes down to. Who will get out quickest? See, look at that. Project has to wait for the cars coming in.
He's okay,
and he just about gets out of it, but who's going to come out in front of him? That's the biggest question. Here comes Project. Is he going to hold on to the lead of the race? Yes, he is, just about. WRT all the way back there. That's worked out well for Grasser Lamborghini. In 2nd place, look, here comes the Mercedes. Max Buch and Max Goetz jump up into 2nd place. It's 3rd position for Peter Cox and Stefan Racina. 4th place for Enzo Eid now in the car he's taken over from René Rast. So what happened to Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos in all of that? They're still in the pit lane. They must have had a problem, and they have dropped right back down the order. There they are, coming out now. That's a catastrophe for the number 1 WRT car.
Well, you didn't get to see why they lost so much time in the pit lane, and we can see that it's chaos because, quite simply, the entire field have all come in at one time, and I don't know whether they've had to back up one or other of the team cars. It may be simply there just wasn't the opportunity to do 2 cars at the same time. But how there was a switch around because the Vanthoor car was ahead of the René Rast car, and it came out ahead with Enzo Eid in in effect now be second, and for the Laurens Vanthoor car with Cesar Ramos, well, they're going to be very much towards the tail of the field.
But now we're going to have the situation where there's this field of cars running around, and the safety car has got to pick them up. Well, the safety car will be coming in this lap, but where even is the safety car related to the cars on track? Because the safety car couldn't just wait at the exit of the pit lane to pick up the first car to come out of the pit lane. And here's Winkelhock. So
yeah, he was running around the outside of the corner looking for grip and just found the white line, and once you hit the white line, the painted white line, extremely slippery in wet weather conditions, and the back end of the car just broke away, and it just dragged him literally into the gravel, buried the rear of the car, and that was it all over for Markus Winkelhock.
As the race, in theory, gets back underway, yeah, there's the safety car, in it pulls, and away we go, and look at that immediately, Stefan Racina is on the attack, trying to get past Max Goetz as they come down towards the first corner. He's got the inside line, they almost touch a little bit. Now where on earth do you brake for Tarzan? That's the big question. They've all just about made it through. Harry Project in the lead of the race. The challenge is still going for 2nd place. They were going side by side out of Tarzan, and Goetz is trying to get back up past Racina, but Racina holds 2nd position. Goetz in 3rd. 4th now for Cesar Ramos. It's 5th for Felipe Salaquada. 6th place. It's side by side between Thomas Jaeger and Matthias Stumpf, and Jaeger goes through. Nicely done, the young Austrian.
Yeah, very impressive driver. Just used again. Good bite and traction off the Tarzan hairpin. But this is the battle really, watching Resina and Max Goetz. They're going at it hammer and tongue as they come up into Skyflock. And Resina running the wide way round the corner. Goetz right on the tail, almost the front of the Mercedes, touching the back. Looks up the inside into turn 10. Gets up inside, but can he maintain it? Because the momentum is still with the Lamborghini, but the Mercedes has got track position as they go into turn 11, and that's ultimately going to be the key to this battle for second place.
Really good fight between Goetz and Resina. This is the battle though, as Stumpf desperately tries to pass Baumann.
The difficulty he has is actually seeing where he is. He's having to look out of the windows on either side, not really through the windscreen, just to get his braking reference points. And of course into Tarzan, it's fairly wide, the entrance, so you can go high and you can stay high, and in effect that's what he's been trying to do with Thomas Jaeger all the way from the Tarzan hairpin. We saw Jaeger being very effective on the exit coming out of Hugenholz. Now it's the other way around. He's found himself slightly compromised on the run up the hill through the right-hand curve, side by side, then back to the left. So the Brazilian BMW, but can Jaeger? No, he's been cut off deliberately, and that was a fairly forceful move, but a fair move. There was ample room given, and Thomas Jaeger just had to get out of the throttle a little bit earlier.
As they flash now through the S's, through the dunes, up towards Skyflock, and they've both closed in now on Matthias Stumpf again, so the gap's really ebbing and flowing all over the place, because Stumpf a minute ago was right on the back of the Ferrari, and now he's under all sorts of pressure from the BMW behind. So Stumpf in that yellow BMW Team Brazil car is under a lot of pressure, and here's a look up the inside. That's just...
Oh, he tags him, he tags the back of the... So the Brazil Stumpf has been tagged at the back by Thomas Jaeger, and there it is.
And I think Cesar Ramos came through to take both of them. He looked to the inside line. Jaeger holds it all the way around the outside, keeps the grip there and holds the place. But good spot there, John. This is Stefan Resina and Enzo Eid that is going side by side here. Enzo Eid has just taken 3rd place away from Stefan Resina. It's so difficult to tell in all this rain that's coming down, and the safety car has been deployed. They have decided to scramble the safety car, presumably because of these conditions, and the rain has, well, it's eased off actually briefly now for the moment.
I mean, if you look down the straight, I mean, that's looking up towards Zandvoort town. You can actually see some of the high-rise buildings there, so it is actually improving. The safety car might have been maybe more beneficially deployed a lap or maybe 2 laps earlier at the point when it came down at its heaviest. Big shot Ferrari!
And that may be why the safety car's deployed, because in the gravel trap is Stefan Resina and Felipe Salaquada. The two appear to have come together because there's front right damage on the Ferrari. So these are the standings behind the safety car then. Project leading, got 2nd, Eads 3rd, Ramos 4th. 5th place for Thomas Jaeger in the 76 Schubert BMW. That's really, really good news for them. So safety car in this lap.
But look how close, look how close.
Now, is he slowing down so that he only has 1 lap to go, Harry Project? Potentially, he's trying to get across the line to start the final lap when he comes through, and I think he might pull it off. This is going to be very tight, but he hasn't got a very good restart. Here comes Max Goetz. He looks to the inside line as they come across the line with 2 minutes to go. We've got 1 or 2 laps left here in Zandvoort. We'll wait for official confirmation, but Harry Project leads the way. Max Goetz is right with him. Laurens Vanthoor is trying to go around the outside. Cesar Ramos is trying to go around the outside of Enzo Eid for 3rd position, and he does it at Tarzan. Beautiful manoeuvre. Eid drops to 4th. 5th place is Thomas Jaeger. 6th now is Alessandro Latifi. He's got past the Brazilian BMW. But what? How? So many questions. Is this the final lap of the race? Is the sort of main one?
Well, we don't know. We're waiting to see, but no indication that this is the last. They came across the start-finish line literally with 2 minutes remaining, and they ought to be able to complete a lap within that 2 minutes.
Yeah, because it's not raining as hard as it was before.
It's not raining, but it's going to be something like a 1 minute 57 or 1:58. It could be a 2 minute lap, depending how quickly Harry Project brings the car out onto that straight. So it's a great pressure on the Austrian driver right now, with Max Goetz all over the back.
Really close behind him. Here we go then, and Max Goetz in the Mercedes that's leading the championship, desperate to try and find a way past the Austrian leading the race, which is Harry Project for the Grasser Racing team. Here they come, down towards the chicane. Not close enough yet, Max Coates, as they come into the right-hander, but Project knows he has got to defend for all he's worth, and has he gone wide then? Not quite, I thought he had.
He took the defensive line, but in doing so he almost put himself into jeopardy, and that almost gave an opportunity for Maximilian Götz to put the pressure, but he didn't manage to do anything. Now all he can hope for is a good exit out of the second of these two right-hand corners onto the pit straight. But 17 seconds, we're going to have one more lap in my view. As we come across, and there the gap is around about 0.6, 0.7 of a second. 8, 7, so we've got one more lap of pressure and torture on Jeroen Bleekemolen.
But Project's doing a good job. He's got 0.8 of a second as he comes around Tarzan corner. As they come through the left hand, and in the gravel trap, that's Matthias Stumpf. He's off at Tarzan. There's damage on the front of the car, but we think that might have already been there. Through turn 9, down into the tight right-hander of turn 10. It's almost a hairpin, and look how close Max Coates gets through that corner. Really strong through there. He swings it wide into turn 10 to try and get the cut back. He's not going to be, he is pretty close actually, and they almost touch there, absolutely nose to bumper as they come down to the chicane. Coates on the outside. Project gets the car stopped in time. Only one corner for Max Coates to do it. I don't think he'll be able to though, it's not really an overtaking opportunity. Harry Project looks to hold on. The nerves are unbelievable in the Grasser Racing garage, but through the Arie Luyendyk corner they come, and it is going to be the win for Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen here in Zandvoort. They win the qualifying race. It's second place for Max Coates, it's third for Cesar Ramos, fourth for Enzo Eid, fifth for Thomas Jaeger. Brilliant performance from him. Seventh across the line. We'll wait and see. It should be Sten Pentus, and it is Sten Pentus. But there's Jeroen Bleekemolen, another win at his home circuit. But that may well have been one of the most tense. We can now hear from Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's with John Watson.
Jeroen, congratulations. What a tense 1 hour that's been.
Oh yeah, it was so tight with the going green again, but Harry did a great job. He was very fast in the rain, and he'd never been here in the wet, so hats off to him. He did a great job today. I had a really good first stint as well. Unfortunately, my gap was done by the safety car, but it's great to win again.
Well, you had to drive on a saturated track on wet weather tyres, dry weather tyres, but you also cleverly judged the point at which you came in to make your mandatory pit stop for tyres. It looked like you actually slowed down deliberately to avoid doing an extra lap.
Yeah, I knew I was crossing the line with 2:20 to go, 2 minutes 20 seconds. So I knew I had to do a 2:20 lap time, and I had to slow down a little bit in the last corner. But we made it, and we even still had a gap to the rest. So it was the perfect way to go.
So how much were the pits guiding you in, or were you just doing it freehand?
I was doing it myself, but then the last 10 seconds they counted down for me, so that helped a little bit.
Anyway, congratulations. We're doing a Harry Project to come back. Superb drive by both of you.
Here's the results of the qualifying race here at Zandvoort. Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen winning by only 0.4 of a second ahead of Max Buch and Max Coates. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor saved their own day really, because a really slow pit stop put them down in 8th, but Ramos hauled them back up into 3rd position. Enzo Eid 4th, Baumann and Jaeger in 5th position. And then Renaud and Jaap van Lager finishing in 6th place. Nice to see the Porsche finishing so high up. Same can be said as well of Sten Pentus and Daniel Lloyd. Huub Doubelman, president of the KNAF, hands the trophies though to the winners. Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen taking victory. Well, what a superb race we had yesterday, and Max Buch and Max Coates still lead the championship, but the gap at the top has been closed in by 6 points. But now with Harry Project and Jeroen Bleekemolen right behind them, if they win from pole position today, they will move to the top of the Blancpain Sprint Series. We're set for an excellent race here at Zandvoort. There's no doubt about that. The third round of the Blancpain GT Sprint Series is about to get underway. It's going to be the main race here at Zandvoort, and what a race it is set to be. We could have a change of championship lead. Harry Prochik and Jeroen Bleekemolen starting on pole position. If they win the race, they will take the lead of the championship. It's as simple as that, because there's only 6 points between them and the second place car. A very pleasant day here, 21.2 degrees. Well, I say pleasant, it was much better than yesterday where we had torrential rain for the qualifying race. Hopefully, it's looking like it should stay relatively dry today here in the dunes, about half an hour away from Amsterdam. In the seaside town of Zandvoort, just over the other side of the dunes, is the sea. And here's a look at the circuit. 4.3 kilometers long. It hosted many Formula One races back in the day, but now it hosts predominantly GT racing, and you can see the undulation even from this graphic. 11 corners, and it's fast, it's flowing. There's not many overtaking opportunities, but it can be done, but you've got to be clever about it. A wonderful circuit, and great to be returning here in the Blancpain Sprint Series. The cars are on the grid. The grid is very busy. John Watson is down there on the grid. My name is Jack Nichols. I'm in the commentary box. We'll be hearing from John, no doubt, with someone who he's managed to find in a few moments' time, but it will be on pole position. The race winners from yesterday, Harry Prochik and Jeroen Bleekemolen, but second on the grid, Max Buch and Max Goetz, currently leading the championship, but only by 6 points over Prochik and Bleekemolen, and they have finished second in all 3 of the last races. It's a different story at the back of the grid though. Marcus Winkelhock looked good in qualifying race yesterday. Now he's with John.
Marcus Winkelhock, they say you meet the nicest people at the back of the grid. I don't want to meet you at the back of the grid. Why are you here?
Yeah, unfortunately I went off yesterday. It were really difficult conditions. We were on slicks and then it started to rain, and was, yeah, as I said, quite difficult to drive. And then I lost the car over the crest, downshift, the rear locked, and then I spun. Unfortunately, it happened in the qualifying race, so that's why we are here now.
Well, did you apologize to your teammate?
Yes, of course, but unfortunately, there's not more I can do than to apologize. But I hope he's doing better than me yesterday in his first stint, and for sure there are many cars in front of us, but car seems to be really fast, and I'm looking forward for the race anyway.
Good, thank you. Nicky, you've got all the hard yards to do in your driving stint. What can you honestly expect to get out of this first stint?
For sure to go up in the top 10. The car, I think, has it in it. We were hoping for rain because we were really quick in the rain, but yeah, we'll just try to be safe around the first corner and then go maximum attack flat out. All I can do to give it back to Marcus, and then yeah, hope that he's going to do a fantastic job for the second stint, and then hopefully go for the podium. I mean, Lawrence showed it yesterday, the car number 1, with difficulties still on the podium, so yeah, Lambos are strong, but we're gonna not give up and fight from the back.
You got some laps on warm up this morning. Everything feel good?
Yeah, fortunately, because of the tire conditions that we not have a lot of tire sets for the whole weekend, we just went out with really old tires, so there was nothing. We just did a checkup for the car because it went off yesterday. We just checked the system and felt all right, but yeah, the car's all right, so nothing did out of the ordinary.
Okay, see you later.
Thank you.
It was here last year that Nicky Meermanhoff really impressed us all. He was racing for the WRT Audi squad and was matching Stefan Ortelli for pace. That was the race that we thought, oh hello, who was an amateur driver, Nicky Meermanhoff, has really arrived. He started racing in 2008 in the GT4 European Cup, and since then has progressed and got quicker and quicker. Here is the pole sitting car of Harry Prochik and Jeroen Bleekemolen. It'll be Harry Prochik starting the car after they took pole position, having won the race yesterday. They also took pole position in the qualifying session, so this could be a total clean sweep for Prochik and Bleekemolen. Not since qualifying at Brands Hatch in the last race have they been beaten. But alongside them, off the start, will be Max Goetz, the current championship leading Mercedes SLS from HTP Motorsport, and they will be absolutely desperate to get past into the lead of the race, because they know if they lose out to Prochik and Bleekemolen, they lose the lead of the championship. And although we've still got 4 rounds to go after this one, Slovakia, Algarve, Zolder and Baku, you never really want to lose the lead of the championship, do you? The crowd is gathering ahead of this race, and they've got quite a few homegrown drivers to support. One of them is Jaap van Lagen.
Jaap, you're starting 3rd row of the grid, 6th place overall. Porsche are strong here, maybe?
No, what we've seen yesterday from the beginning it was dry, and we were 1 second slower than the front of the field. So we absolutely not quick enough in dry conditions. But then halfway the rain came. And I knew that before because I did some races in GT Master and we won both races in GT Master in very wet conditions. So then in the end we were nearly the quickest on the track in the wet, and we finished P6. So yeah, today we're starting from P6, and hopefully we can drive a little bit to the front, but I think in dry conditions we have no chance.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this Porsche coming to the front. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A positive outlook there from Jaap van Lagen, the 37-year-old Dutchman who started racing back in 1999 in the Citroën Saxo Cup in the Netherlands, did a bit of Formula Ford action in the early 2000s, but then and also a bit of Formula Renault 3.5 as well in the 2006-2007 seasons, but then since then he's done Super League Formula, ALMS, German Porsche Carrera Cup. Very experienced racer. 21.1 degrees the weather conditions here, and there are clouds around, but it's anyone's guess whether they're going to erupt with rain, because yesterday it was showers really more than anything, but the heaviest showers you've ever seen. Talking to a couple of fans earlier on who were watching at Tarzan Corner, and they said they have still not yet dried out. The rain was almost horizontal at times, so fingers crossed we don't get that today. It certainly spiced up the action, but a nice clean race is what everyone is after. You can see the team personnel starting to leave the grid ahead of the 1 hour race, with a mandatory pit stop window between 25 and 35 minutes into this race. You have to come in, change all 4 tyres and hand over the drivers. The pit stop's a very important part of racing, and we can hear from one of the team managers now, Gottfried Grasser.
Gottfried, you've had 3 wins on the trot. You've got pole position, you've got a quick car. Can you be that optimistic?
Yeah, for sure we are optimistic, but it was every time such a hard fight and nothing was a present, and we are really happy to be in this position, but it's really tough to hold it now, but we will push.
And great job by Ari in very, very difficult conditions, taking over from Jerome, who did a brilliant stint.
Yeah, it was amazing. Ari was with me on the radio and he was telling me it's undrivable. I only could say to him, I don't want to change with you in this position.
Anyway, he did a great job. Both of them did a great job. I hope you have a good race.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good to hear from Gottfried Grasser. And yeah, he does some racing himself, Gottfried, and he certainly didn't want to swap positions with Harry Procek towards the end of that race, and Procek actually did a really, really impressive job. The 38-year-old Austrian from Nittelfeld, who was second in Pro-Am last year, alongside Dominic Baumann, who is making a return this season in the Schubert BMW. Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger will start pretty high up the grid after finishing 5th yesterday, which was a very impressive performance. And we'll just have a look at this field. Unfortunately, only 18 cars. We lost 2 cars yesterday. The Scuderia Valour Corsa Ferrari, after contact with the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini, that Ferrari is now out of the race. And we also lost the 85 HDP Motorsport Mercedes because Steph Dusseldorp lost the back end coming through the Hugenholz corner at turn 4 and backed that into the concrete wall that's there, really. So that unfortunately wrote off the chassis. But here you can see the front row of the grid. There's our pole sitter on the right hand side. It'll be Harry Procek starting the car. It'll be Max Goetz alongside him. The second row of the grid is all WRT Audis, as you can see. Enzo Eid and Cesar Ramos starting those cars. Then Robert Renauer and Thomas Jaeger are 2 newcomers. Started together yesterday on the 6th row of the grid, and today they're starting together on the 3rd row of the grid. So both of them making some good progress yesterday. There you can see the WRT cars, and that number 1 car was in contention to win the race, running in 2nd place, but a nightmare pit stop for WRT meant that they were forced out of contention. There are the 2 WRT cars. Then it'll be Ramos and Eid starting them, and then we have Schubert BMW on the left. The right hand side is the Herbert Porsche. A great qualifying race for Sten Pentus and Daniel Lloyd we just saw in the Bitech McLaren. They are starting up in 7th place. That's their best performance of the season so far. And then towards the back we had the quick cars that struggled yesterday. So 88 is Stefan Rossina after getting involved in contact there. We've got Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and also Kaka Bueno starting the 0 BMW there on the left hand side of shot. He his teammate Sergio Jimenez got hit at the first corner by the Villorba Corsa Ferrari and was forced out of the race very, very early on, which was a real shame for the Brazilians, coming off the high of such a strong result in Brands Hatch, where they managed to take a podium finish. But there we can see the green flag lap underway here in Zandvoort. Away goes Nicky Melnoff, Caca Bueno holding off and then leaving. He will start in last place, Caca Bueno, 18th on the grid, as the cars get ready to make their way towards the start of this 1 hour race here, where we could see the championship lead change. It's going to be a hard battle between Project and Götz up at the front. And we'll also get our first chance to have a look around this Zandvoort circuit. 4.3 kilometers, wonderful undulation, wonderful corners, a challenge for the drivers, a challenge for the teams, a challenge for the cars. It's really entertaining. Here's a look at the grid for the main race here at Zandvoort. Pole position will be Harry Project, alongside him Max Götz, the two cars battling for the lead of the championship. Second row is all WRT, Cesar Ramos alongside him, Enzo Eid with their best performance of the season so far, starting in 4th position. Dominic Baumann is in 5th place, 6th place for Robert Renauer in the Porsche. Then we've got Sten Pentus, great performance from him, and also Sasha Halleck. That's the highest up Sasha Halleck has started in the second Grasser Racing Lamborghini. Roman Rusinov will start in 9th, ahead of Alessandro Latifi, the Pro-Am winner from yesterday. And in 11th spot, Mateusz Lizowski and Mateusz Stumpf. Then on the next row of the grid, Fabio Anidi and Aman Ibrahim. Anidi and Pantano struggling in the wet conditions yesterday. David Fuminelli there in 15th place, and then we have Stefan Rosina in 16th after contact yesterday. Also, we have we won't have Salaquada starting the race, unfortunately. Nicky Melnoff will be there instead, and also we won't have Sergei Afanasiev. He won't be there either. So just 18 cars starting. Caca Bueno, the last of them. So, John, the cars making their way around ahead of this 1 hour race.
Yeah, I mean, it was very casual on the grid, as always is in Zandvoort, very relaxed, typical of a community circuit. There you can see what I saw when I was walking back. It's building up again over the circuit. But right now, you'd think, well, we might just get away with a dry race. The trouble is, when it does come in, it comes in so rapidly, and it's so heavy as it was yesterday, then the track is saturated, and people had this problem with downshifts. Both incidents with cars being damaged were downshift incident-related incidents.
So coming towards the final corner, we just saw a shot of Jeroen Bleekemolen with his son, who's got some nice chips, which is always a positive. As we go on board with Mateusz Stumpf. Oh, look at that, getting very close to the back of Alessandro Latifi there as they come around the final corner, but through Arie Luyendyk they will come to start the 3rd round of the Blancpain Sprint Series. Pole position for Harry Project in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. He'll have the inside line for turn 1. Alongside him on the front row is Max Götz in the Mercedes. The two championship battlers are about to duel it out again, coming down towards the first corner as we go green here at Zandvoort. It's a good start from Project. It's also a good start from Thomas Jaeger further back in the BMW. He pulls to the inside line. Robert Renauer, oh, we've got 3 cars off in the middle of the pack, and that is a bad way to start this race. One of them is Stefan Rosina, the other is Fabio Anidi, the other, I think, is Mateusz Lizowski in the WRT Audi, but we'll wait for confirmation. And there's a look up the inside from Enzo Eid, trying to force his way past Max Götz, but he's not close enough to get past. Up into 4th place then has gone Robert Renauer. A terrible start for Cesar Ramos, but the safety car is deployed.
Yeah, I mean, a contact again at the back of the field. We saw this yesterday, and up one car in the barrier there is one of the 2 McLarens that was knocked, and that's Anidi in the car. He steps out, he's fine. But the battle, it's under a safety car regulation, so everybody will now have to just essentially slow down until they get back to the start-finish straight. Just noticing in the Skyflock corner a damp patch as the cars are coming through that corner. Now everybody's slowing down. Those that may have overtaken, potentially under the yellow flag, BMW being one of them, are now being slowed down and letting those that overtaken get back. So once again on the run down into turn 1, and there you can see a lot of this trackside junk basically just been onto the racetrack. That's having to be cleared up by the track marshals, and they'll come round, complete the slap, pick up the safety car. Certainly 2 cars will need to be pulled away to safety. There is the back of the Audi, which went in Rusinov and Otelli. What a disappointment it is.
It was Roman Rusinov's car then. I thought it was Mateusz Lizowski at first thought, but it is Roman Rusinov who...
And just looking at there's something from that car is in the barrier, and the marshals are trying to, hopefully the barrier is not damaged sufficiently that they may have to replace it. I think probably be able to continue without any damage limitation or roof damage limitation to that particular barrier.
So, safety car conditions after a dramatic start. Now let's see, it'll be sort of in the middle of the pack here. Let's try and, actually it's going to be towards the back. It's those two cars on the left-hand side. There's the McLaren coming through. There's Stefan Racina coming through. Racina's well over on the right-hand side.
Oh, the baby you could see. Big.
The Roman Rusinov sort of loses it. Maybe there was contact, but he seemed to sort of lose it in a straight line and just violently turn left and pile into the other cars.
Yeah, I mean, that's difficult to tell right now what was the cause of that, but you can see the Audi suddenly a very aggressive, almost turned sharp left, contact with the McLaren and then further contact with other cars, but the damage was to the back of the Audi. Another substantial impact with the barriers. We've had two other cars that were eliminated yesterday. The Ferrari 458 was knocked out yesterday with that collision with the Reiter Lamborghini, and Stef Dusseldorp in turn 3, the Hugenholz hairpin bend, again on a downshift, pulled a gear, momentarily locked up the rear of the car, and that spun him into the barrier and did enough damage to damage the chassis, to crack one of the chassis legs. Now he's not happy. Roman Rusinov, you can tell by his comments, he may feel that he was tagged. The way the car turned would indicate something maybe beyond his control. We need to have a further look at it and really highlight that particular part of the racetrack.
Yeah, so, and well, a very frustrated Roman Rusinov there. Apologies for picking up on that language from Rusinov, but he's certainly very frustrated with how his race has started, and there is the remains of his car, and I presume he's suggesting that the blame is with Mateusz Lazowski, who was alongside him on that row. So that's presumably what Rusinov is insinuating, but until we get to see it again, it was very difficult to quite make out how that all unfolded. But the good news is Stefan Racina is still going, even though he got collected in all of that. He's still running down in 15th place ahead of Caca Bueno, so that's good news for Racina. And there's a very disappointed Stefan Ortelli. Here's a look again. So it's these two orange Audis on the left-hand side here that are going to come into a collision, perhaps. Now the pit wall's coming in.
Well, in fact, Rusinov
goes right, doesn't he? And then
momentarily turned right, and there was nowhere to go, and that's what then set the chain of events into course. The Lamborghini bounces its way down the grass, and hopefully there's no damage to that, whereas the McLaren spins its way into the gravel trap at the entry into Tarzan Hairpin, and it's out of the race along with the much more heavily damaged Audi of Roman Rusinov. There is the McLaren being pulled away to safety, and Anidi will have been, well, he was just a passenger and all that. He's just driving along on a Sunday. Yeah, it's just about afternoon, isn't it?
Not quite, still morning.
Well, close enough for me. Car, of course, is locked in gear. One of the problems with these paddle gear shift changes, if you haven't engaged the disengage button or lever on the car, the back end of the car remains locked, and there is no conventional clutch, as one would expect if you're marshals working feverishly to try and clear away the dirt, the earth that was sent all over that sort of half of the racetrack just on the entry into, that's on the racing line, into the Tarzan Hairpin. They're still trying to remove, is that a part? It can't be a part of the car, it must be a part of the barrier that has been damaged. It's like one of the barrier supports that has actually been sprung in that impact, and the marshals are trying to get it. I don't know if they're going to try and pull it out. What they're going to do is attach it to the tow truck and use that as a way of trying to clear that, because they can certainly not leave it in that configuration.
Into the pits comes Stefan Racina, so he did take a bit of a wild ride through the grass, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's picked up a bit of damage in that Reiter Lamborghini, and I suppose if they're under safety car conditions, he's not actually going to lose out too much to just come in. Well, the safety car will be in this lap, though.
Yeah, I mean, those damage you see, that right rear looks as if whether there's a puncture or whether there's just slight bodywork damage. It had a wild ride down on the grass on the run into, so whether it's damaged some of the under tray, the diffuser, other aerodynamic appendages on the car, but they're going to have a quick look and check it out. It's a setback, obviously. Stefano Racina, let's look again and see.
So this is on board with Mateusz Stumpf, who started his car down in 12th position. So keep an eye out to the... Well,
he's gone.
But keep an eye out to the right-hand side, because... Oh, okay, so the accident is happening behind as we come down towards the first corner. But a great start from Stumpf, and he is now running up in 8th position. Gets to the inside line. and to be 8th, having started 12th, is a pretty successful start for the Brazilian, as the sun looks to come out here at Zandvoort. Lovely weather, but Harry Prochik is leading the way. The safety car apparently will be in this lap. Max Goetz will be right behind, and it's another safety car restart for Prochik, as he had to do yesterday. Enzo Eads up in 3rd place, a good start from him. Robert Renauer is 4th, Thomas Jaeger is 5th. Cesar Ramos, the big loser, he's gone from 3rd down to 6th on that opening lap. And just looking out.
Well, I don't think they're going to restart it because they still have yet to repair this barrier. They're not going to restart this, for these marshals are still working on the racetrack, whatever it says. Correction, safety car. Well, I mean,
yeah, they've.
It was a bit ambitious to think of, and we can see it from the commentary booth. And there you can see there's what, a half a dozen or more marshals. 4 of them working around. I mean, there must be a light bulb in there somewhere as well, because they must be trying to change that.
Very good, very good. 52 minutes to go. The safety car still deployed here at Zandvoort as they try and sort out the barrier on the run down towards Tarzan. And Harry Prochik continues to lead, but this is sort of eating into the time that Prochik has, because I mean, soon it'll be the pit stop window. Not very soon, but only 15 minutes or so.
They've now got it cleared, so whether they will release the cars as the safety car comes up to complete this lap, again, they're going to have to try and get that vehicle, that trackside vehicle, again removed back to its station. It may have come from the pit lane, being that the incident occurred just simply at the bottom of the pit lane on the approach into the Tarzan hairpin. But we're looking at the cars as they come up into the penultimate corner, then into the Arie Luyendyk curve, appropriately a banked curve for Arie Luyendyk, whose success at Indianapolis, still legend apparently, and I say legend and apparently in the same breath.
Stefan Racina is back out, which is good to see, but there is Enzo Eid adjusting his specs as he winds his way around in 3rd position. And he had a very good start because he started in 4th place, so he managed to get a position away from his teammates, and this was his view as he came around the final corner. It was a good start from Harry Prochik on the right-hand side as we look at it in the Lamborghini. The lights went out very quickly. Usually they wait a little longer, but there we go, drops it, and away he goes, John.
Yep.
The 2 front row cars were off.
Yeah, side by side. What I'd watched in the restarts that we had yesterday, and certainly at the start of the Saturday sprint race, was that as soon as everybody is in a straight line, and look, Enzo Eid looking to try and get up the inside, is that the lights, once everybody is on the straight, the lights are put out, so it is actually a very quick start. So if you're not alert and aware for that, you get caught out. Harry Prochik and Maximilian Goetz clearly were aware of it, and Enzo Eid did a much better job at that restart than he would have done maybe in the event yesterday. So here we are, still under the safety car.
Yeah, we missed all that battle for the lead, really, because we were focusing on all the cars pirouetting around in the middle of the circuit. The safety car will now be in this lap. The track is all cleared. There's a slippery surface flag going to be held out at the first corner, but it doesn't look as though there'll be any yellow flags, so it will be possible to overtake. Well, the safety car will come in this lap.
There is that's still the safety car now. The yellow flag is also being shown at the marshal's post, literally just opposite where we're commentating from. I assume once the safety car comes in, that yellow flag will also be withdrawn, because if the yellow flag is out, nobody can overtake into turn 1 on this restart of the championship race.
Yeah, but they will bring that in. It's just out there, so that's because when the safety car is out, you have to hold out the safety car boards and the yellow flags. We're on board with Enzo Eid then, who's running in 3rd place. We saw his teammate René Rast a few moments ago in the garage, and if Eid can hand over to Rast in a strong position, then you wouldn't put it past René Rast possibly ending up on the podium, maybe even winning the race depending how things go. But we've still got 49 minutes of racing here at Zandvoort. Hopefully that's our only safety car intervention, as the WRT squad give us a thumbs up from the pit lane here at Zandvoort. And looking around, we still there aren't too many clouds around. The sun's coming out. It's a pretty nice day, even though you can see in the background there the clouds are a little darker, but I think there's no point predicting weather around here.
I mean, the weather's going to be dictated to principally by the wind, which is a very strong wind, probably stronger than it was yesterday, blowing again, following the cars down the straight into Tarzan hairpin. So the wind, if it's going to come, and the rain, if it's going to come, any prospect is going to come more or less from the northwest. And at the minute, it looks fair, and hopefully we're going to get a clean restart as the safety car peels off and Harry Prochik brings it into control.
Harry Project floors the throttle coming through the final corner here at Zandvoort. The safety car pulls in and we're racing once again after that first lap incident. Project leads the way. Max Götz is right with him though as they come over the start line. This is going to be close, only 0.2 of a second between them on the way down to Tarzan. He's late on the brakes and holds the lead for the time being, but Max Götz is going to be really on a mission. No other movement towards the front of the order. Matthias Stumpf still running there he was in 8th place and he's still in 8th place, and he's got Sasha Halleck right behind him, then Sten Pentus, then Alessandro Latifi further back, but up at the front is the battle between Lamborghini and Mercedes that we saw raging at Brands Hatch. It's continuing here at Zandvoort.
Max Götz looked to be slightly quicker out of the Tarzan hairpin than Harry Project, but Harry Project still has got control of the race. Again, up into Skyflock, you can see Götz just right up to the rear wing of the Lamborghini, and the Porsche are also 4th place. That's up from 6th place, putting a bit of heat onto the tail of Enzo Ede in 3rd place Audi.
Max Götz, as they come down towards the tight right-hander of turn 9, right up behind Harry Project, and Enzo Ede, as you say, is right in there, as is Robert Renauer, as is Thomas Jaeger. This is all very close up at the front. Aman Ibrahim going around there as Kaka Bueno and Niki Mer-Melnhof try and make their way up the order. Look at those three. Bueno, Mer-Melnhof and Racina, all drivers we expect to see fighting at the front of the field. They're going side by side down towards the chicane at the Hans Ernst corners, and Mer-Melnhof holds the inside line and keeps that 14th position for the time being. They came across the line, only 1/10 of a second between them, so that was a bit action-packed, but back in the pack, but that's all over 14th place, as we say. So, to complete the first lap of racing they come, and Project is leading the way, but not by much, over Max Götz in 2nd place. Just 0.3 of a second as they come down towards Tarzan. Bit of everyone's going down that middle line because they know they can't go the full racing line.
The race line is dirty. You get onto that dirty track, it may have a problem with your braking, but what it will do is it'll fill your tyres up with what is left on the track, which will mean you've got less grip in Tarzan. So everybody then filtering over to the middle to right-hand side of the entry into Tarzan, and that's really precluding any serious thought of Maximilian Götz, or in fact further back, Robert Renner in the Porsche of trying to make up a position.
45 minutes to go, so only 10 minutes until the pit stop window opens, and already the nerves are starting in the pit lane. Project and Götz separated by just 0.2 of a second now as they come through to complete the first sector, and Enzo Ede is right with them. Project seems to struggle in that sort of opening part of the lap and then try and extend the gap out again, but they're taking very different lines through there as Götz tries to get the run on the Lamborghini as they come out now down towards the chicane.
Yeah, the feeling I'm getting watching this battle is that the Mercedes and the Audi probably have got a slightly better level of grip than Harry Project's got in the Lamborghini, and you can see that Götz is able to run up very close to the back of the Lamborghini, and also Enzo Ede in the Audi likewise is carrying forward, and almost as if the pace of the Lamborghini is basically holding up the Mercedes. Certainly if Götz gets ahead, he will be able to pull away.
Through Harry Leyendijk, out onto the start-finish straight, and again it's nose to tail for the lead of the race. Max Götz shows towards the inside, but that Lamborghini's pretty pacey in a straight line. Still just 0.3 of a second between them. No movement further back either. 3rd is Ede, 4th is Robert Renauer in the Porsche, 5th is Thomas Jaeger in the BMW, 6th is Cesar Ramos in the number 1 Audi, and I'm surprised Cesar Ramos isn't climbing up the order. In fact, he's been closed in on that last lap by Mateusz Lizowski, his supposedly less experienced teammate at the WRT squad. And following all of them is Matthias Stumpf, but it's so difficult to line up a move around here at Zandvoort. It's really about playing the long game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more or less around the pit stops, because we've got those pit stop window will be open in just over 8 minutes. So that's the first opportunity if anybody wants to dive into the pits, do the tyre and driver change. Looking again, Kaka Bueno trying to find a way around Niki Mer-Melnhof in the Audi as they go through Sky Block. That's the right-hand corner, which is great. Again, just watching the battle for the lead. The differing lines. Maximilian Götz trying to take the high line, then cut down and get the run out of turn 9, I think it is, and then into the braking zone down at the chicane.
There's Matthias Stumpf running still in 8th place after his difficult race yesterday. He got tagged all over the place. He had at least 2 spins towards the end of the race, and now our race leaders are starting to gap Enzo Ede in third place. Jeroen Bleekemolen getting ready already. He's only got 8 minutes until the pit stop window opens, and they will bring that car in as soon as possible to get Bleekemolen, who's not only a GT specialist in general, but put him in a GT car at Zandvoort, and you've got quite a potent mixture.
Well, Jeroen Bleekemolen has been racing every weekend this year since the Sebring 12-hour race in early March. He did Le Mans. He had to do it as a 2-driver car because of problems they had in practice and qualifying. Their third driver hadn't done sufficient laps, so he couldn't take part in the race. And there is another pass. That's Rosina getting past the Ford Tech Mercedes-Benz. First overtake we've actually really seen as a racing pass.
Yep, Rosina going past
again.
the
Porsche closing up to the back of Enzo Ede, and that's Robert Renauer in a car along with Jaap van Langen, that they feel that they've got a car that is a quick car around this racetrack. Getting to the front is going to be the problem.
The Skyflock they come, running in 4th place at the moment, the 21 Tonino Team Herbert Porsche. Great to have them here. They tend to race in German championships, but they stepped up to the international stage this weekend and are doing a good job. Thomas Jaeger is just at the fastest first sector of anyone, the man in 5th place. So behind that onboard car we were just with, there may well be a battle brewing as well, because yeah, there's the BMW right up behind the Porsche. So it's all getting very, very close in the middle of the pack. Only half a second between pretty much all of them.
Well, we're now seeing the Lamborghini for the first time, showing its true pace, fastest sector time in Sector 2. I think maybe just on the opening laps, the Lamborghini tyre temperature had not maybe been just as high as those around him, and that was why he was struggling just to keep the car moving forward and not having to deal with a car that didn't have the level of grip that the Mercedes and the Audi behind appeared to have. Now stretching the gap is up to just under half a second. Visually it makes a little difference. Why Maximilian Götz is flashing his lights? Well, the reason you do it is to distract the driver. The reality is, I think now we're seeing the Lamborghini stretching its legs, and I think Maximilian Götz is going to have to work very hard. Almost 0.6 of a second it was, in fact, at the end of lap 8.
Harry Project doing a good job so far, and there's a look up the lead from Robert Renauer. A look up the inside coming into Hugenholtz, and he gets almost alongside, and in fact, no, sorry, that's the BMW going past Robert Renauer. So how has Thomas Jaeger managed that one? Really impressive move. I thought that was Renauer on the attack, but it was actually Renauer losing the position, and he drops down to 5th place. So great move from Thomas Jaeger to get him into 4th place in the Schubert BMW.
I suspect that manoeuvre began all the way back in Tars and Herpen Bend, and then you've got a couple of little curves before you get to the Hugenholtz. But if you get alongside the car, you can hold the ground, and as long as you can maintain your position on the inside of the corner, then you've got that corner.
So now he's starting to disappear up the road. Cesar Ramos is the next man to try and get past Robert Renauer, and behind him is Mateusz Nesowski, with Mateusz Stumpf right up behind him. So the queue really forming behind this Porsche. And they come down into the chicane at Hans Ernst. And there's a gap back to Sasha Halleck, who's doing a good job there in 9th place ahead of Sten Pentus. But here are our front two.
Maximilian Götz has responded to the increase in pace from Harry Project. He's now got fastest first sector time of anyone so far in the race there. The gap you can see is probably fractionally less than the 0.6 of a second. It's 0.5 of a second. It's taken about 300ths of a second out on that last lap.
I think we're going to see a straight pit stop race here. I think they'll both come into the pits at exactly the same time, because Project will want to hand over to Bleekemolen as soon as possible, and they will want to mirror that by getting some fresh tyres on the Mercedes, because if they keep Götz out there in clear air, Bleekemolen will be out there on fresh tyres, and as a result, I think will be the quicker of the two. So I think it'll come down to a straight pit stop race between Grasser and HTP, but we'll wait and see.
3 minutes to go before pit lane opens. And is it getting darker out there again, or is it maybe just the camera lens picked up something that just you never know in Zandvoort? It can be clear. Well, there you can see skyward from the onboard camera. That does not look very pleasant. Out of Skyblock as they come through into turn 7. Great part of the racetrack. This is the new part of the Zandvoort racetrack, introduced some 20 years now ago. The original circuit that was one of the best road tracks, albeit a permanent racetrack, is now a property development area.
Half a second between the race leader and second place. Here we're seeing difference between Matej Sosowski and Matej Stump. Stump has closed in significantly on that last lap, didn't he? Half a second out of Sosowski in front of him as they come down into the chicane. Stump is having a pretty good run so far. The Brazilian who didn't race with the BMW Team Brazil squad last year, but already Thomas Jaeger has caught right up to the back of Enzo Eid in front of him, so Jaeger soon could be challenging for a podium position as they come out onto the start-finish straight towards Tarzan. That BMW looks pretty quick in a straight line. Can he repeat the manoeuvre coming down into Tarzan? Eid covers.
He does.
He's
and
very squiggly on the brakes, isn't he?
He's run high, and that's giving Thomas Jaeger the opportunity he needed. He didn't quite have enough momentum off the Tarzan hairpin, but he's over one side of the Audi, back around the other side. Enzo Eid's going to be late in the brakes on the inside line, so Thomas Jaeger runs now, the Audi running wide, and Enzo Eid has pretty much covered off that opportunity into the Hugenholz hairpin, and he's under pressure, and he will be under pressure now through these fast rights and lefts as you climb up through the sand dunes, up into Skyblock. Watch for Jaeger to try and get a run out of this corner, right under again the rear wing, but having to back out of it momentarily just for the sudden lack of grip as the aero effect comes into play.
A really impressive drive this from Thomas Jaeger and also from Team Schubert. They're making their return to sprint racing with us here. They did used to compete in the GT3 European Championship, but left that at the end of the 2011 season after the race here, in fact, at Zandvoort, which ended that 2011 year. But great to have them back. They're competing for the rest of the season. And Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger are starting to put this man under some pressure, Enzo Eid. Now let's see how calm Enzo looks. Is he going to do a lot of mirror glancing, I wonder, as he comes towards the final corner?
He's certainly got his eye on the mirror, but he needs to have awareness of where the BMW is, because at any point, if Thomas Jaeger gets a better run out of the chicane, then he's going to challenge Enzo Eid. You can see him just looking across at the corner, looking for his apex as he comes through the Ari Lyondike curve, and again the BMW close to the back of the Audi. I don't think there's a lot of difference in top speed between the Audi and BMW here in Zandvoort. It's more about track position, and Thomas Jaeger again trying to force Enzo Eid into reacting to the moves that the BMW is making.
Yep, great to see that on board with Enzo Eid looking in the mirrors. Which way is he going? Is he going that way? Is he going this way? And the more he focuses on looking in his mirrors, the less he focuses on going forward, which is good news for Jaeger. That last lap, they both did a 42.0, and they can both go about a second quicker than that. So that shows you how much, as soon as you start looking in the mirrors and defending, how much time you lose. And you can see also Robert Renauer is starting to come into it as well in the Porsche in 5th place. But the battle for the lead is continuing, and the gap is coming down as the pit stop window is about to open. So.
And we're looking to see Jerome Beckerman, and we're going to see, I believe, Harry Project into the pits at the earliest opportunity.
And same for HTP. Looking out the window, I can see Max Buch is ready. So this is going to be a straight pit stop fight, I think, between HTP and Grasser Racing, which could be pretty entertaining. And they will, I think, HTP will know if Bleekemolen gets out in the lead of this race, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop him.
Well, Jerome Bleekemolen has decided every weekend since early March has been racing in a GT car or some form of motorsport around the world. He's absolutely exhausted, he said this morning. He can't wait to have a weekend off. And he got out of the car yesterday. He was so tired he could barely hold one of the children, or one of his children here. So Harry Project peels off and does the Mercedes. It stays out.
Oh, okay.
So clear air for Maximilian Buch. They're going to try and pick up maybe half a second on this lap, which may have a bearing in a pit stop. If you see the Enzo, I think Enzo Eid peeled off as well. So the Audi in 3rd place and the leading Lamborghini both in the pit lane. Okay, so this is a crucially important pit stop, not just for this race, but also for the championship. A good one here could see this car move into the lead. Into the pits comes Enzo Eid, unclips his belts into the pits, into the car will jump René Rast. There is the fast German getting strapped in. Meanwhile, up at Grasser, Bleekemolen's getting strapped in as well. And this looks like a bit of a problem at the pit stop, I think. It is. There's a problem at the pit stop for the Grasser Racing team. They're losing all sorts of time, and Enzo Eid is in front of them. The René Rast Enzo Eid car is out in front, and this is great news for the HTP squad. René Rast floors it out of the pits, but they're losing so much time here, the Grasser team. An absolute disaster. Well, there's a disaster coming behind because the race... They're behind Stumpf, they're behind Basseng. Yeah. They're going to be 10th place at least. But look skyward. look skyward, there's a big black cloud at the far end of the circuit, which I believe very shortly will be this. We don't know what went wrong with that pit stop. It just looked as if they just had nothing went right. Nothing went right. The driver change was fine, but the minute they started to try and change the wheel, they may have had a gun problem, which we saw yesterday. I think one of the Audi cars had a wheel gun problem as well. That was the Laurens van Thor car. And suddenly you've got to drop a gun, pick up another one. And it was Maximilian Götz coming in. No, he's going to stay out. He's going to max on. That's his lap time. Previous was a 40.7. Can he do a high 39 on this lap?
No, 40.6.
It almost matches.
Into the pits now comes Thomas Jaeger and also Cesar Ramos. So Laurens van Thor will be taking over from the number 1 Audi. Taking over in the BMW will be Dominic Baumann, and they are in a battle. Well, they were battling with Enzo Ede, weren't they? So that'll be interesting to see where they come out in what is the battle now for second place, essentially, between Enzo Ede and René Rast and that Team Schubert BMW. Also into the pits comes the...
problem in the rear. Is that smoke coming off the left
slow,
rear?
Doesn't it? Well, something is...
I think that left rear is either touching the body. Well, something strange as the car came out of turn 9 up into turn 10. There was apparently smoke coming from the back of the car, but now it seems to be running.
Very close in the pit lane there. We just cut to it as the BMW gets out in front, but up into second place has gone René Rast. So René Rast is in second. It's third place for the BMW, and it's fourth place for Laurens van Thor in the second Audi.
Could that be an unsafe release? It looked very close indeed. In fairness, the BMW is the bottom end of the pit lane, and it just pulled out ahead of the Audi, but that will be reviewed.
Now
So
here's
let's
the...
look
Oh, he
at
spun it!
spin
Bleekemolen
indeed.
spun it!
That's why we saw the blue smoke coming from the rear, and that's Jerome Bleekemolen. What was he getting up to there? Now the tyres are cold tyres. That's why I saw smoke coming off that left rear. It was the residue of the spin.
Well, into the pits now will come Max Götz. Yes, so he should emerge in the lead of this race, but let's not discount René Rast. If it's not a completely nailed pit stop for HTP, they could lose the lead of the race, because WRT are very, very fast, and René Rast has gone purple in the first sector, the fastest first sector of anyone. This is going to be pretty close, I think, for the lead of the race. Everyone else bailing into the pits further back. On board we go with Matthias Stumpf as he pulls in.
And it takes forever, 50 kilometers per hour in the pit lane. Götz is out. Book gets in. And where is René Rast? We're seeing he's now got fastest second sector time. His first sector time has now been eclipsed by Jerome Bleekemolen, who is recovering from that spin. So René Rast effectively is still the quickest car as he comes round the final corner.
Here we go. The Mercedes leaves the pits now, and just about in the lead of the race. I think it's going to be the HTP car. Yes, it is. René Rast is in second, but René Rast is going very, very fast. Meanwhile, out comes Matthias Stumpf further back. We'll have to wait. Jeroen Bleekemolen's on the pace now, but that spin and that poor pit stop has put them out of contention. But it is Max Buch in the championship leading 84 HTP Motorsport machine that is leading the way. Second place is number 3, René Rast, in the car he shares with Enzo Ede. Third position is the Schubert BMW of Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. But handshakes all around because HTP have got themselves into the lead of the race.
Yeah, keeping Maximilian Götz out for those extra couple of laps gave him the opportunity just to, pick up another half or so a second, and he's very pleased indeed with what his day's work is. Relatively short because of the safety car intervention. Now it's in the hands of teammate Maximilian Buch, and he has got just under a second advantage there. You can see the gap between the leading Mercedes and the second place Audi of René Rast, who clearly has got the speed. And just looking down, there's still fastest sector times going to the car that we thought was going to walk away. Is that rain on the windscreen of the Audi? I think that is rain coming around into turn 10. We're almost at the far end of the racetrack, so keep an eye to see whether we are going to have another Joker being played here at Zandvoort this weekend. There are umbrellas going up around the sand dunes just an opposite to where we're commentating from, and just watching as we come there. The wipers are being used. Rain is falling in the Ari Lyondike curve as it did yesterday.
Well. 28.5 minutes to go here. Max Buch leading the way, but he's using his windscreen wipers. They all are. There's the Brollies. The Brollies are up here at Zandvoort, and this is going to get very, very interesting indeed.
That's going to mean sodden French fries and ketchup. Oh, look at the race. That is lashing almost 90 degrees to the racetrack on the BMW. We see that view. And this is going to be, yet again, a trip to the pits unless somebody can brave it out. It will depend just how long and how heavy the rain that's falling. Basically, it started at the beginning of the straight, at the exit of the Ari Lyondike curve. There you can see the fans, their umbrellas almost taking off. And the kids, they are loving it. They're having the time of their Sunday lives.
So there is Jaap van Lagen, who's come out just in front of Marcus Winkelhock now. And the brollies are really going up as the rain starts to set in here at Zandvoort. Jaap van Lagen is running, it's difficult to tell, it's in front of Winkelhock, so this is the battle essentially over about 10th or 11th position. So the Porsche team not getting the greatest pit stop in, but there's our race leader Max Buch. How confident is he going to be in the wet conditions? In comes Mateusz Lizowski, and he hasn't stopped.
But this could be the play of the day, because he may opt, he doesn't have to, but he may opt to put on a set of slick tyres. It would be a high-risk strategy, and I suspect with Daniel Abril getting into the car, they're going to put on a set of wets as the BMW follows in just behind. Pit stop window still open. We've got 2 minutes remaining. And has the rain stopped? It's still
it's still raining.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see it's still raining on the pit lane. Not as heavy as it did on Saturday, but still sufficient to make a wet racetrack. And mandatory lights have got to be
what
turned
tyres?
on.
What tyres? That's the. Oh, I can't quite make it
Can't
out.
work it out. I would have thought if they're going to go safe, which is what they would most likely do, you've got to go with a majority. If you want to go as a punt, take a chance, put on a set of slicks, but it will be quite difficult because it is still raining.
Into the pits comes the number 1 car. Laurens Vanthoor pits from 4th position, right at the back there in the WRT squad. He's come in and they're surely going to change to wet weather tyres.
They're not ready. They haven't got the tyres prepared. They didn't expect this late cut into the pit lane, so they haven't got the tyres available. Laurens Vanthoor made the decision. He didn't give the time sufficient warning about his impending pit stop, and they're standing there wondering, is this one of our cars?
The WRT Audi squad then.
And he's gone back out. I don't know if he did there, the wets and the pits. He may have been told, get back out there. This rain is not going to last.
The Phoenix Audis are both in as well, I think, below us. Yeah, they're putting wets on both of the Phoenix Audi cars. So this is getting very, very interesting now. But there's our race leader, Max Buch, who only has 10ths of a second over René Rast in 2nd position. We saw yesterday Marcus Winkelhock, when the rain comes down, this Audi, he says, is really difficult to drive because of the short wheelbase of the car compared to something like the Mercedes. That's a lot easier to drive on slicks in the wet.
Yeah, but both the Mercedes that went off, Stef Dusseldorp, and Marcus Winkelhock, who went off at Skylock, said they had a problem when they were downshifting because the way the engine programming is. In dry conditions, you can have quite an aggressive throttle and gear change program in. In wet conditions, you can alter that to make it a softer response to the gear change and other throttle actions.
Now that number 4 Audi that came into the pits of Mateusz Lizowski and Vincent Abril did put on wet tyres, I'm being told. So that could be the real winner here if the rain continues to come. Buch is leading.
Was Laurens Vanthoor sent back out without a tyre change?
Don't know about that. But there's our top 3, Buch, Rast and Baumann. And then it's a long wait back for whoever's in 4th position. Is this the 4th position battle coming towards us? No, I think this is the 4th position battle coming towards us. And this will be Mateusz Lizowski. Vincent Abril now at the wheel. He looks to the inside line of Nelson Piquet and he gets the brakes done. And he's got a lot of grip out there. I think those two, the Audi and the BMW, changed to wet at that pit stop, I believe, but we're not 100% sure. But it certainly looks as though Vincent Abril is looking comfortable.
And Piquet's tippy-toeing it around on the set of slicks.
Yeah, certainly looks that way. And yeah, they did change them to wet tyres, the number 4 car. So that means that they're 25 seconds off the lead of the race. We'll see what sort of sector times they're doing. That'll be the interesting thing to have a look. So the number 4 car is definitely on wet tyres, and that is Vincent Abril at the wheel. But he could be the dark horse now. Jaap van Lagen trying to get past Nelson Piquet Jr. through Skyflock.
And right on the tail, been pushing the BMW all the way through Skyflock. And your local knowledge, weather knowledge, all the things that... In fact, Nelson Piquet Jr., his mother, is actually Dutch. Thought she might have been here today, but maybe she realised the better of it.
Yeah, decided to stay in the dry.
23 down in the south of France.
Well, yeah, exactly. The pit stop for car 28 is under investigation as well. That is Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Prochik. They're down in 10th place at the moment.
Rain
but
stop.
The rain has stopped. The rain has stopped, certainly here on the pit straight, as the race leader, Maximilian Buch, comes out of the final corner with less than 23 minutes to go. Flashes past our commentary box position. There's people taking brollies in now, out on the banking. So what an interesting few minutes that has thrown us, and what an interesting remainder of the race. But look at the gap the top three have.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you've got to do in Zandvoort there is third and fourth coming through now. You must always be aware of the weather, and part of what you do is not just looking at the tarmac, but if you get the opportunity to look at the sky from the direction the prevailing wind is coming, to see if there is weather and to be prepared. I don't know, I still am not sure whether when Laurens van Voor dived into the pits.
Oh, here comes Bleekemolen
on slicks, and he almost sideswipes his sister car, which gives him a little bit of room. You can almost see the hand on the Lamborghini 27 turning left hand down to give Bleekemolen the space, who's travelling clearly at a much greater pace. And Bleekemolen has now taken 8th place from that sister car.
So Mateusz Lasowski in 4th place is lapping a second a lap quicker than the race leaders. But if the rain doesn't continue to come, that won't make any difference, as now Jeroen Bleekemolen attacks Nelson Piquet Jr. and cruises past the BMW. Nelson really struggling in these damp conditions.
Remember also, Bleekemolen is on slick tires as well. He's dealing with it better. He knows this racetrack inside out. You can see now around the back of the circuit, around Slotblock, it's actually virtually a dry line, and then into turns 7 and 8. So this is coming up to the corner where Bleekemolen had that uncharacteristic spin in his out lap. So he's making up ground into 7th. He's actually got up to 6th. He's got 6th place. He's into 6th place now. So 7th place,
yes,
as the computer updates. So he's now looking. He's going to be a further, well, only just over a second behind what will be 6th place.
There is the back marker, Miguel Toril, running in 16th place. And there is our race leader, and look at the gap. It's come down just 0.4 of a second now between Max Buch and René Rast. The battle of the Germans is raging here in Zandvoort. On board we go with René, a real master in the wet conditions, as he turns through the right-hander, then into the left at the Hugenholz corner. A hairpin pretty much that spits you back out and into the dunes. And he's getting really, really close to the back here. René Rast pulls alongside as they come through the quick S's section. There's no way around there. His next chance is the corner after the Skyflock, the Masters box at turn 8.
But he certainly had traction, better than the Mercedes coming out of the Hugenholz hairpin bend, and got almost alongside Max Buch, but didn't have enough at the right point of the racetrack to make the deal. So again, having to be patient, run behind Max Buch, who is using the racetrack to his advantage, fully entitled to do that. All René Rast can do is to try and use slightly later entries and then make the cut back, again preparing for the exit as they will make them the run down into the chicane. This is an opportunity for René Rast. He's going to be right on the tail of the gap. Again, the racetrack here is still wet, so he needs to be very cautious under braking.
Miguel Toril is that Fortec Mercedes up in front that could cause all sorts of problems as they try and lap him as they come out of the chicane now towards the final 2 corners. Rast is right up behind Buch, looks to the inside, but there's no way to pass. Coming into the Kumo box, the right-hander, then into Arie Luyendyk, but it's down into Tarzan. That surely will be René Rast's best opportunity. How soon will they catch Miguel Toril in the Fortec Mercedes in front? The rain has stopped all around the circuit. The lights are flashing. Miguel Toril pulls to the inside line. On board we go with Rast. Down into turn 1 in the battle for the lead of the race. Not close enough just yet.
Again, it's the cutback. Buch pulls it down low, trying to get. Well, they've got the Fortec Mercedes, which is coming into play. Not a problem, but watch to see René Rast can use the benefits he's had by the Mercedes getting in the way of the race leader. But again, Maximilian Buch hogs the inside line into the Hugenholz airport, forces René Rast to rethink how he's going to gain traction. He's got the traction this time, almost as good as it was the lap ago. But again, the Mercedes, with all the torque and power of that 5.5 litre V8, pulls away sufficiently to give them the advantage as they come up into Sky Block once again.
And there's no way of passing through those quick S's.
Look at the tail of the Mercedes. It dances around as they get light over the crest, under braking.
It's great watching Rast going all over the circuit to try and find the grip. And also Dominic Baumann, let's not forget him. He's poised in third position just in case anything goes amiss here. But once again, Max Boot covering all the inside lines. Look at the back end stepping out, and now it's almost trickier because it's becoming greasy, John.
Yeah, the track has gone from being very wet to this sort of kind of slick, scummy surface. With a wet tyre, all the slick doesn't really work.
Here comes the attack from Rast. He's going to have the outside line though as they come down into the chicane, so Book should still be able to hold the position. Rast is late on the brakes. Can he get around the outside? Yes, he can. Rast takes the lead. Beautiful manoeuvre from the German, and René Rast in the WRT Audi moves into first place. Dominic Baumann is trying to follow as well. The Austrian looks to the outside towards the penultimate corner. Nothing doing there, but what a great move from René Rast.
I have to say, a lot of good cooperation from Maximilian Book. He cut half of the corner on the entry in because he knew René Rast was there, and what he did was he gave him working room. He enabled Rast to take the lead. He realised that if I try to keep my line, that we will collide and we will potentially lose the lead in the championship or challenge to the lead of the championship, and therefore he did the smart thing, let René Rast go, gave him the working room, and that's a driver thinking as well as driving.
Yep, if things stay how they are, that HDP Motorsport car will maintain the lead of the championship. But now Dominic Baumann is the man who wants to get racy and try and find a way past and up into second place. Miguel Toril, you can see the sort of pace these guys are running because they caught up and passed Miguel Toril with ease because he's running down in last position.
Yeah.
But now Toril's still in there.
Yeah, well, Toril sort of tagged on to the tail of this two-car battle. And he's sort of saying, well, I wonder why. Let's look again. Now watch what the car on the inside does. The Mercedes, it takes a massive amount of curb on the inside, which allows Rast the space to make the maneuver. He had to take a lot of curb on the inside, turning left, but that was done deliberately to enable Rast to have the space in this battle for the lead. And Maximilian Book, I think, did a smart deal. And if they can maintain second place, they may well, I think, on the calculations we have got, their car will take over the lead in the championship. But the battle for second place is still on, and Book is almost, you can see him struggling with rear end traction with the BMW of Dominic Baumann, and there's rain again beginning to spot onto the lens. Are we going to get another spot of rain or shower of rain before? We'll always know, because the umbrellas opposite us on the sand dunes are going to go going back up. But there was a little, again, the back of the BMW just catching the curb, under power, slatting out. And still Toril in the Fortec Mercedes, which has not been anywhere at the races at all this weekend. Suddenly, and if I was Trevor Foster, who manages the Fortec team, on behalf of Richard Dutton, I would be saying, let's have a meeting after this race and go through the lap times. How comes before and after there's a significant difference?
Across the line comes Max Boot running in second place. Right behind him is Dominic Baumann. Down towards the right-hander. Baumann noses towards the inside, but he's not quite close enough. Tucked right under the rear wing. As they then come out towards the left-hander at Hugenholtz. Not quite close enough. And well, something that I haven't actually mentioned, but these two were champions together back in 2012 in FIA GT3. Max Boot and Dominic Baumann were teammates at Heiko Gravity Charouz. They dominated the championship, won the GT3 European Championship, and now they are going wheel to wheel on the circuit here at Zandvoort, a circuit which they didn't race on that season, but it's great to have them both here in the championship and doing battle.
Yeah, Dominic Baumann has got the quicker package right now, but what he's struggling with is finding the gap, and a run wide for... Oh, that will he's lost it. He spun it. I wondered what went wrong. He got the back end of the car onto the damp bit of the racetrack. I thought, strange line. He can't be trying to keep his slick, dry weather tyres cool. He made an error. I've never seen an error from Max. Look how he's 2 car widths wide. And look, Dominic Baumann saw it. Once the back end of the Mercedes goes, he's got to decide, do I go left, do I go right? He went to the right. And I mean, Dominic Baumann must be saying, well, was that pressure or was that just simply a fundamental error? Maxi Gut, he is not happy at all.
A shake of the head, and that means that they're currently now down in third place. They've got an awful big gap between them and Matthias and Scott, and he's going slow. He's going slow, Max Buch. There must be a problem on the car.
I think he's got a left front puncture because there was something he couldn't turn in to the right-hand turn after the sky block, and that could well be if he's got a left front puncture. Difficult to tell if the tyre is deflating or not, but something has caused him to slow down. It's on the left-hand side of the car, and that's the reason, probably why, in hindsight, that he lost control. And now he's making his way back in, literally at a snail's pace. To all intents and purposes, I think this car's going to be retired. Or if there is simply a tyre problem, then they can get it changed quickly, send him on his way.
He's staying out.
I don't know what's going on.
He's staying out. What's that about?
Well, unless something in the car, he tripped some switcher, but I thought maybe because he was so wide on the entry into turn 8 that might have been a left front tyre going down. Whatever it is, the car seems to be back. And confusion, I think, in the Mercedes HTP team pit wall there. And look, he's talking about something in the wheel pedals, maybe.
So basically, that means he has lost out third position now, Max Buch. With that slowing, he held the, and here's the battle now going on for, well, that's Jaap van Lagen up into fourth place. He's just taken David Fuminelli, and he's only 2.5 seconds down the road now from Mateusz Lizowski, who we think is still on wet tyres, but Lizowski is lapping reasonably quickly. Jaap van Lagen is lapping a second a lap quicker though, so that could be a battle for third place. What a great result it would be to have the Porsche onto the podium. Now we've got a battle between Peter Cox and someone else disappearing. Oh, it's Stefan Landman. This is over 9th position. Landman holds 9th place at the moment. Peter Cox trying to take it away as they come up towards Skyflot. And Cox, a much more experienced racer than Stefan Landman, both in general and here at Zandvoort, and in the last 12 minutes or so he should be able to find his way past. It's 8th place for Laurens Vanthoor after coming into the pits to gamble on that tyre change.
But we never know, we never find out, did they actually change to wet, or as I believe he came in and they put him back out, sent him back out because they weren't prepared. There was no pre-warning that he was going to come in and look for a set of wet weather tyres.
So 5 seconds between first and second place. René Rast and Dominic Baumann. Third place is Mateusz Lizowski. Vincent Abril. But for how much longer? Because Jaap van Lagen is closing in. 1.3 seconds behind now, Jaap van Lagen in the Porsche. He would love to take a podium. We'd love to see him take a podium in his first race in the Blancpain Sprint Series. It looks as though Lizowski and Abril are going to win the Silver Cup, because that was what the battle with Fuminelli was ultimately all about. But look at how much the Porsche has closed in over the last few laps.
That is simply because the Audi was changed onto wet weather tyres. The Porsche has stayed on slicks, and the track is now going clearly to the favour of the slick tyre. I mean, it was a 2.5 second gap that he closed on the last lap, and very shortly it'll not be here in Sky Block because there's not an awful lot you can do to pass, but there are other opportunities on this lap, particularly where the track has got you see there, a clear drying line. This is the corner that the battle for the lead was lost. Not Dominic Baumann, but he took the lead from Maximilian Buch. The Porsche closing up to the tail of the Audi and will be looking to dive down the inside. Waits this time, still maybe not confident enough. The track is sufficiently dry. Another opportunity will arise now down this brief straight into the chicane. He's going to go the long way around, and he's got the drive off the corner. He probably will have enough of an advantage under brakes to take the lead, and yes, he has.
So Jaap van Lagen goes through up into third position then in the Porsche. Great stuff for the Team Herbert squad. He and Robert Renauer looking set to take a podium, but we've still got 10 minutes to go, and anything can happen here at Zandvoort. We've seen most of that so far. The other big news, Dominic Baumann on the last lap was 1.5 seconds quicker than the race leader. The gap is down to 3.4 seconds. Dominic Baumann is on it. René Rast is struggling.
Well, there is Dominic Baumann in the BMW, and he's got momentum, and that's what he needs right now. There's the Audi coming across the crest. There is the BMW following it. The gap as it went over the line was 3.4 seconds, and it's probably around about the 3 and a little bit. Very close indeed. Both cars on slick tyres, but both drivers having slightly different reactions to the racetrack as it is now getting a more permanent, clearly defined drying line.
Look how quickly. Well, this is now David Fuminelli, who has lost out to Max Buch. So Max Buch is up into 5th position. He's passed Fuminelli. Bleekemolen's still down in 7th place. So if things were to finish how they are, the gap would be up to 10 points at the top of the championship between the HDP Mercedes in the lead and the Grasser Racing Lamborghini in second place. Here is still Peter Cox trying to get past Stefan Landman for 9th position. Still 0.3 of a second between them. And Dominic Baumann has taken seconds out of René Rast in the first 2 sectors as well. So that gap for the lead is going to be coming down and down and down. It was 1.2 seconds in sector 1. It was another 0.8 of a second in sector 2, and in total the gap is now just 1.2 seconds between René Rast in the lead and Dominic Baumann in second place.
He's chased down the lead, Audi. Can he actually make a move stick? What he's going to have to do is go off the dry line. We can see it now clearly, the drying line, the track to that lighter shade of tarmac. And René Rast is not going to put so much as half an inch of a wheel off the drying line. If Dominic Baumann feels he's got the pace to win this race, he's going to have to be brave and go offline onto the more damp part of the racetrack, and there's a big risk in doing that.
There you can see that last lap, 2.1 seconds quicker was Dominic Baumann as they come to the end of the first sector here. How much time has he taken out of René Rast? Well, the gap visibly looks closer. It's another 0.6 of a second, so now it's just 0.7 between first and second place, as you can see on the screen. Also in is Miguel Toril, and it looks like he's come in to change some tyres.
I think he's gone back onto slicks, so he's probably just worn out the wet he was on.
That would explain why he was keeping pace with the slick shod runners earlier.
No doubt. So there is the battle. It is less than 1.2 seconds, which it was as they came across the line, end of lap 26. We've got just under 7 minutes of this battle to go, and it'll be tippy-toe stuff for René Rast, and it's maximum attack from Dominic Baumann in the BMW, and it's always wonderful to be the hunter rather than the hunted.
There's Thomas Jaeger.
You can see not too much stress on the face of the young Austrian driver, and he's waiting to see whether his teammate can ultimately come out of the Ari Lyondike curve with a couple of miles per hour more than the Audi, maintain that gap and think about it. There's on board with René Rast.
Down towards Tarzan. Baumann tucks right in behind the leading Audi. The battle for first place with 6 minutes to go here at Zandvoort. The lights are flashing because I think that's Nelson Piquet Jr. that they're trying to lap. It's one of the BMW Team Brazil cars. A look to the inside. Through goes Rast. No, it's not. It's Sergio Jimenez. See, those Brazilian BMWs really struggling in these conditions. They're down in 14th and 11th places, whereas this BMW is battling for the lead of the race with René Rast as they come out through the curves that take them towards Skyflock. But Baumann knows he's got the advantage, and now he just needs to pick his point.
We got René Rast right on the edge, coming up to Skyblock. You can see the front of the Audi dipping down and trying everything he can to keep the BMW behind, and he's sort of stabilized the gap. Always the issue, you can close a car, but finding a way past. There is the view that the German has in the cockpit. He's looking forward, looking across the corner, then into the much slower turn to the left, a little bit of opposite lock as he applies the power, then the run down into the chicane, and he's got control. He's keeping Dominic Baumann's momentum in check.
Max Buch has got himself up into 4th place. He's managed to pass Mateusz Lasowski, and Lasowski will also lose out to Bleekemolen as well. I think it's getting so dry out there now that those wet tyre cars of Lasowski, sorry, it's Vincent Abril who's taken over. He and Fuminelli both in real trouble now. But the race leaders come out of the Ari Lyondike curve, and now Baumann, with less than 5 minutes to go here at Zandvoort, will need to make the pass for the lead sooner rather than later there. They were initially going to enter the Silver Cup, but Baumann, because of his form, has been given a gold rating, and the Silver Cup is for 2 silver-rated drivers, so they couldn't actually enter the Silver Cup, but thought, oh well, we'll do it anyway, see what we can do, and it looks like they might be able to win a race, potentially, as they come down towards Hugenholtz. The sharp left-hander hugs the inside line, does Dominic Baumann.
Yeah, again, as I'm getting the traction off the Hugenholtz hairpin bed, we saw that the BMW had that little bit of extra bite, as did the Audi when they were battling with the Maximilian Buch Mercedes. Probably not a lot to pick and choose now between these two German manufacturers, and René Rast, vastly experienced in GT racing of all configurations. Again, just picks his line, not trying to drive away from Dominic Baumann, but just keeping his car on the bit of racetrack, which will maximise his grip and maximise his lead.
What a great battle for the lead this is. down into the left-hander. And now they're going to head down towards the chicane. Where will Baumann pick his spot? John Watson is heading down to the pits to interview whichever one of them comes through winning at the end of the day. And it's going to be very, very close in these last few laps. Out onto the start-finish straight again. René Rast, a hugely experienced competitor. The 27-year-old German is already a multiple Porsche Super Cup champion, 3 times Porsche Super Cup champion. Dominic Baumann, 2012 GT3 European champion. Raced last year with the Grasser team, actually, alongside Harry Projek. And now he is right on the back of René Rast. Jeroen Bleekemolen is up into 5th place, so Buch is 4th and Bleekemolen is 5th, which means the gap at the top of the championship, if things stay like this, will be just 8 points. And that's pretty much the gap it was actually. In fact, it was the gap when we came into this weekend, so it'll have cancelled itself out ultimately. And this will be the penultimate lap of the race that we're on now. So only one more attempt for Dominic Baumann into Tarzan. That's the crucial thing. He's only got one more chance going down into the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. René Rast has had a best finish this season of 7th place in Nogaro, but then the 4th place in the qualifying race yesterday. And he and Enzo Eid are looking very, very strong. 1 lap to go here at Zandvoort, and Baumann seems to have dropped back a bit. So whose pace has picked up? I think it's Baumann's pace has dropped off. Rast hasn't really picked up the speed. Jaap van Lagen in 3rd place is running quicker than both of these two guys. But here they come over the start-finish straight. René Rast starts the final lap of the race in the lead here in Zandvoort. And he's got 9/10 of a second over Dominic Baumann in 2nd. So that should be enough for the German to hold on. Here now is Nelson Piquet Jr. trying to pass Mateusz Lasowski. Lasowski's on wet weather tyres, the track is dry, and Piquet cruises through into 8th place. Lasowski needed that rain to continue. If it had done, he could have won this race, but it didn't, so he won't. Peter Cox is up into 7th. He still can't get past Stefan Landman, though, in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. There's our 2nd place man, though, Dominic Baumann. It doesn't look like he's going to have the pace. Marc Basseng gets out the way of René Rast. Gets out the way of Baumann as well. But only a couple of kilometres now stand between René Rast and Enzo Eid and their first win of the season. We'll also see them shoot up the championship order up into the top 5. They're getting ready to celebrate on the pit wall. Enzo Eid staring over the gantry, hopefully to see his teammate take the checker flag. It looks pretty certain now. A crazy main race here in Zandvoort. We've had rain, we've had about 4 different leaders, but now we're finally going to have a winner. René Rast exits the final corner for WRT Audi. It's their first main race win of the season. René Rast is victorious in Zandvoort. Enzo Eid delighted on the pit wall. A 2nd place for Team Schubert. For Dominic Baumann. And then a 3rd place for the Porsche as well of Jaap van Lagen and Robert Renauer. So our 2 newcomers finished 2nd and 3rd. There's the Porsche for Team Herbert. 3rd position for them. Talking to them on the grid with John Watson earlier on, and they were saying, we're so far off the pace, we're never going to have a chance of doing anything in this race, but they've come home with a 3rd position. There's Max Buch, 4th across the line. They hold the championship lead. They extend their lead only by a couple of points, but it's back up to 8. And no, look at this! Who's that across the line? No, that's a back marker. My apologies. It is Jeroen Bleekemolen who finishes in 5th place. I thought that was, for a moment, Nelson Piquet who'd got past everyone, but it was the back-marking Sergio Jimenez. Jeroen Bleekemolen finishes in 5th place then. Stefan Landman in 6th. 7th place for Peter Cox. But there is our race winner, René Rast, taking victory, 1.3 seconds clear of Dominic Baumann. A German, an Austrian and a Dutchman on the podium as the sun comes out once again here at Zandvoort. The fans have been treated to quite a spectacle actually. That's one of the best races we've had this season. And René Rast ultimately comes out on top. Round of applause from the marshals as they cruise down now towards the pit lane where we'll have a few interviews and then the podium ceremony. Laurens Vanthoor finishing down in 10th place in the end after they gambled on changing to wet weather tyres. That really didn't work out for them. But it's René Rast who is victorious. Superb performance. As he makes his way now back towards the pits. It'll be great to hear from René and just what challenges he faced. The results after 31 laps of racing. The win for René Rast and Enzo Ede. 1.3 seconds clear of the BMW from Team Schubert of Thomas Jaeger and Dominic Baumann. Robert Renauer and Jaap van Lagen finishing in 3rd position. Max Goetz and Max Buch in 4th place hold the lead of the championship ahead of Harry Proschek and Jeroen Bleekemolen. It seemed to be one of those two that would win, but they in the end finished 4th and 5th respectively. Sasha Halleck and Stefan Landman, great result for them in 6th place. Stefan Rosina and Peter Cox doing well to finish 7th after Stefan Rosina was rally crossing at the start. 13th place for the Phoenix Audi of Latif and Basseng. Both of them gambled on wet weather tyres. And then Sten Pentus and Daniel Lloyd, after a strong start, only finished down in 15th position, unfortunately. Enzo Ede and René Rast embrace. Superb performance from the pair of them. René Rast holding off that pressure in the final stages. And it's the first main race win of the season for the WRT squad. They won the opening race of the season in the qualifying race in Nogaro with Ramos and Vanthoor. Hugs all around for Team Schubert, but it's René Rast and Enzo Ede who are victorious. We can hear from them now.
Well done. René, congratulations. That was a bit of a masterclass for the young Dominic Baumann behind you.
Yeah, he was very fast at the end. He pushed me quite hard. I tried to just stay on track and go no risk, but he was apparently a bit faster, so I had to go a bit faster as well. But at the end, the track dried up pretty quick, and yeah, we could manage the fast lap times again, and it was a good victory for us. Thank you.
Did you expect a victory today? Because I mean, it was going to be a dry race. Did the rain actually make the difference?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's very difficult to overtake in Zandvoort, and the rain helped for sure to pass the SLS. We didn't know that it's going to be rain, so it was a bit of a miracle for us. But at the end, we were very happy with that. Yeah.
Well, I hope the WRT know about Spa in a month's time if it's going to be wet there or not.
I don't know. I mean, for sure, wet would help a bit. I mean, yeah, it's always good for the Audi if it's wet. So let's see.
Thank you. Let's have a look at Enzo. Enzo, you did the opening stint, handed over to René. Quite difficult, you said.
Yeah, it was difficult. I don't know. I had a problem with my front tires, but I had a good start. I moved one position and I was able to keep this position during my stint. So everything went well. In the end, I got a little bit of pressure of the BMW also. So they were really good also, but really happy to win. After Nogaro and Brands Hatch, where we had bad luck, it feels really good to win again here.
Excellent, Enzo. Well done. Thank you.
A very happy Belgian, for no doubt a very happy Belgian WRT squad, as Enzo Ede is congratulated by everyone down there, and we can now hear from Dominic Baumann, the man who finished in 2nd place, pushed all the way, couldn't quite get the win. John.
Dominic Baumann, 2nd place, great drive from you and from Thomas. Tell me your story. You couldn't quite get past in the end.
Yeah, so we struggled a little bit with the tires, so we used new tires for my stint, but at the end when it dried up, I had no chance to pass him or nearly to attack him. I was far away, but in the really wet conditions I was able to stay at his back, and for like this it's perfect. So second place in our first race this year in the Blancpain Sprint Series, absolutely great.
Thomas, you had a very good stint as well. You pushed hard all the way through, handed the car over to Dominic in a good position.
Yeah, it was my first start in a GT3 car, and I'm glad that it went so well. And then when I passed the car over to Dominic, he did a awesome job like yesterday when it started to rain in the wet. He was like 3 seconds faster than all the other guys which were also on slicks, and that's incredible, and very happy, and thanks to the team and to him that we can be second on our first race weekend.
Well, lovely to see two young smiling faces here in the paddock. Well done.
Thanks.
Fantastic to see Baumann and Jaeger with such a strong performance on their first weekend here in the Blancpain Sprint Series. As you can see now, a bit of preparation being done ahead of the racing that's coming up later today here at Zandvoort. But Max Buch and Max Goetz took the lead off the start of the race. Well, they challenged for the lead anyway, trying to get past Harry Procek. There was carnage at the back as Roman Rusinov speared into Fabio Anidi, sending him out of the race. It was a great start from Matej Stumpf, taking positions left, right, and also here centre on the way down towards the first corner at Tarzan. But it looked as though it was going to be a battle between Grasser Racing and HTP for the entirety of the race. Thomas Jaeger put in a great move to get past the Robert Renauer Porsche early on, but there was what went wrong for the Jeroen Bleekemolen Grasser Racing Lamborghini. A slow pit stop and then a spin on the outlap effectively removed them from contention. Max Buch took the lead of the race as a result of that spin, and it was looking pretty comfortable for them, but then the rain started to come down. A couple of cars stayed out on wet tyres, which seemed like a good idea at the time, but soon it dried up and they were in trouble. This was Jeroen Bleekemolen sending one up the inside of Stefan Landman and making the move stick. But then Max Buch was coming under all sorts of pressure as the track started to dry. He lost the lead of the race when René Rast went around the outside of the chicane. Superb move from the German to take the lead of the race, the lead that he would never then relinquish. Things got tricky for Max Buch. He spun coming through the Masters box, and that was an easy position for Dominic Baumann to take, but Baumann was then absolutely on it, really closing in on the race leader. Jaap van Lagen was flying through the order as well. He eventually moved up as high as third position as he went past Vincent Abril. But there was Dominic Baumann right on the tail of René Rast, but it was not enough for the Austrian to get past the German, and it was Rast and WRT and Enzo Eid who took their first win of the season. High fives all around, waves from René Rast, and a blue sky here at Zandvoort, and a podium presentation. Enzo Eid and René Rast out onto the podium. The fans show their appreciation for a great race here in Zandvoort. It's second spot for Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. Absolutely awesome to see them up there. And also Jaap van Lagen and Robert Renauer. One Dutchman making it onto the podium today. As we will now have the Belgian national anthem for our race winners, WRT Audi. Belgian national anthem for the Belgian and German drivers. Austrians on the right-hand step of the podium, over on the left. And getting his trophy now is the Dutchman, Jaap van Lagen. Second place for Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger. An entirely Austrian pairing, Eric Weijers handing over the trophies. But our race winners, Enzo Eid and René Rast, Huub Dubbelman, president of the KNAF, hands over the trophies to Enzo Eid and René Rast as they win here in Zandvoort. And they had a lot of pressure from behind, didn't they, John, towards the end of that race?
Yes, but I think it's something Robin said. Final, a little bit of grip in the
Dominic Baumann wanted to use. So it was a stunning show, a masterclass from the Audi. Enzo Eid did a great job getting up from second row or fourth place in the grid up to third. Held that job. Look at that, 30,000 euros. That goes down quite nicely as well. But it is René Rast, one of the great GT drivers of this era, who did a stunning job defending that lead and taking victory in the end.
So the champagne is sprayed here on the podium in Zandvoort. Enzo Eid and René Rast over the moon to take victory. It moves them up into third place in the championship as well. Still some 30 points off the lead of the standings though, but we're not halfway through this season yet. Jaap van Lagen and Robert Renaud are getting soaked up there on the podium. Everyone got soaked enough during the race that a little bit of champagne won't make too much of a difference. And it is really wonderful to see, as you said, John, the two youngsters get so thrilled to be on the podium.
Dominic Baumann and Thomas Jaeger, they are, I suppose, the next generation. René Rast is the current generation, but these two youngsters are going to go on for another decade or so, plying their trade, getting into the best teams, dominating events, winning championships. So we have seen something, I think, today very interesting, and that is the evolution of young drivers who normally not in GT cars coming through and putting pressure on the established stars.
The gap at the top of the championship is 8 points, the same gap it was as we arrived here in Zandvoort as we move on to the next round. But there you can see Enzo Eid and René Rast. They've moved up into third place in the championship, passing Kaká Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. Another disaster of a race for Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor means they're now only 5th in the standings for Laurens Vanthoor, the defending champion. Mateusz Losowski there in 6th position as well. He and Vincent Abril doing a good job. Further down the order you can see Baumann and Jaeger already up to 9th place, having just had one race in the series. Hopefully Robert Renaud and Jaap van Lagen will return for the rest of the year. Jaeger and Baumann have already signed up for the rest of the season. On the top step of the podium, Vincent Abril and Mateusz Losowski. This is the Silver Cup podium presentation. 2nd place for David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo. 3rd place for Miguel Toril and Aman Ibrahim. The Silver Cup for young drivers with silver rankings. To sort of add a different competition as opposed to Pro and Pro-Am. So the WRT national anthem once again on the top step of the podium. And there are our Pro-Am winners, Stefan Landman and Sasha Halleck. Stefan Landman on the left-hand side as we look, Sasha Halleck on the right. Delighted with that performance. 3rd place trophies for the Vortex squad, Miguel Toril and Aman Ibrahim. Finishing in 16th place overall. 2nd place for Fuminelli and Colombo. And we will have Alex Zanardi back for the next round in Slovakia Ring. He's doing some hand cycling this weekend, so we'll be back up to 2 Royal Motorsport BMWs. But the winners, Mateusz Losowski and Vincent Abril. If the rain had continued, John, that Audi that went on to wets at the pit stop could have won the race.
And butts of motor racing. What I thought was quite interesting was when I talked to René Rast just off camera before the interview, was that he said that WRT had not anticipated rain. It wasn't in their plan, and this is what it's done. What you can always not get necessarily guaranteed, but you have to be prepared for. And I think when we saw Laurens Vanthoor come in, it really wrong-footed the team. They weren't prepared for that pit stop, and I believe still that Laurens Vanthoor went out on the slicks that he came into the pit lane with. And it'll be again an interesting debrief going on in the WRT team. Apart from the pleasure and pride and joy of winning the race, they could have maybe had a more dominant podium. Could have been WRT all the way.
Absolutely, it is WRT all the way in Silver Cup though, as Vincent Abril and Mateusz Kozłowski take victory. So just about holding the lead then is the Grasser Racing Lamborghini of Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek, and they will have their work cut out, John, when we go to Slovakia Ring next. A good circuit, Slovakia Ring.
Yes, it's a long circuit, it's interesting, got good corners, fast corners, that tricky little chicane after turn 2. It's a circuit I think really deserves to be used a great deal more than it is at a higher international level, and it will put again emphasis on particular cars over others, so we wait and see what's going to happen. But Baumann and Jaeger will be a force to be reckoned with. Now they've got one race under their belt.
So join us first weekend of August in the Slovakia Ring. From myself, Jack Nicholls, and John Watson alongside me, thank you for joining us here in Zandvoort. See you in Slovakia first weekend of August.